Mr. Fertile. Look. There is light. Beauty up there that no shadow can touch.
Mae Govannen, my Elven Brothers and Sisters. This might seem like a little bit of a dark or depressing video, but it has a light that can shine through it if you're looking for it. You just saw about Samwise Gamgee talking about that above the clouds and the smoke, beyond all hope, there is always light, and the sun and the stars are always shining somewhere. So that's what this video is about. Some of you may be aware that we have gone through the California wildfires. I know that they've been recorded and reported around the world. Well, we are actually in them. We are at that location where they are. Probably 20-30 miles from us is the largest wildfire in California's recorded history. It's well over 1 million acres right now and still burning, though we are blessed that it is getting under control. Probably 10 miles away, maybe 9-10 miles away, was a huge fire over 55,000 acres, and it was right where we could. So both these fires were on both sides of us, one on the east and one on the west, for the past 2 months. But this week we finally have been seeing extensive clearing. For the past 2 months we have been living in extreme smoke, extremely unhealthy, but we've been very blessed. Our land, our sanctuary here, for all intents and purposes, has gone untouched, and we have been watched over by Eru and the Valar and the Maiar. But these were unusual in their scope and their magnitude, because normally we get fires every year here in California, and every year we get smoke and we get ash that lands on the sanctuary here. This was an unusual year because the fires were so close we could actually see the glow of the fires in both directions. This is the first year that we actually had, as you might have seen from the thumbnail, actually having burnt leaves falling on the property. So they were so close that the burning leaves from the trees were actually coming to our property and landing here. And it takes things and it puts them into a certain perspective. This is a world that is, for most people and most intents and purposes, is going absolutely insane. Between the fears over COVID and the droughts that are going on, and the politics and the obsession with politics, and the wildfires that have been going on here in California, for many people, and we've heard from many, we hear it from our patients, but we also hear it from others as well on social media and otherwise, a lot of lost hope. A lot of people are losing hope. This video that you saw just before we started, a little clip of Samwise, is really what this video is about. That for months we've lived in flames on both sides of us, with smoke, excessive smoke, and leaves falling, burnt leaves falling on our property. And for most people, they begin to get anxiety, fatigue, because after a while you just become exhausted with every day waking up to fire and smoke and evacuations and things of that nature, and it can wear on you. It's a biological medical effect, but it's also an emotional and spiritual effect as well. And it can wear down on you, whether you're in wildfires or you're dealing with the fear of COVID or fear of what's coming up in politics. In the end, it's all the same. And one of the things that we were able to notice during this latest issue that's been going on near our home is there were times I took Samwise Gamgee's advice into heart. I'm considering writing a book about it. Somebody else does it absolutely great, but I think a wonderful book would be The Tao of Samwise Gamgee, The Way or the Wisdom of Samwise Gamgee. I myself and probably many other people feel that he was the true hero of the story. Frodo was wonderful, Gandalf was wonderful, Aragorn, all of them were wonderful, and none of it would have happened in my opinion, would have happened without Samwise Gamgee. And so The Tao of Samwise Gamgee, what a wonderful book that would be. I might do that. Or if somebody else picks it up, go for it. I think it would be a wonderful book for everyone, the wisdom of Samwise Gamgee coming to light in one volume. But while we were going through all this, I took what he said to heart, and there were many, many days where the sun was either completely blanked out or it was a dark red or orange, and that was most of the time for the past 2 months. And I would look up at the sky with all this going on and all this drama and all the death and destruction. And there was a lot of death and destruction. Currently, there have been, between these fires, there have been millions of our brothers and sisters. The trees, the other plants, the other animals, and humans as well have all died and have been suffering in this. The drought here in California, just in the Sierra Nevadas, over 150 million trees have died because of the droughts and such. So there's a lot to be sad about. But in the light of all this, when it's all happening, what helped me was to be able to look up at this dark orange sun and brown smoke passing through and the ash falling on our home. I was able to look up and I was able to go, right above that is a shining sun. And at night I would go, right above that there are stars that are still shining. Samwise Gamgee was right. In the midst of all the darkness that was going on, there was always the sun shining up there. There was always blue sky somewhere. And there were always stars shining above us as well. And it gave us hope to continue through and to survive this. And because hope, there's magic in hope. People go, okay, well, you know what, you got to be realistic. And I get that, evac and do the things you have to do. But there is a magic in hope. And the Elvish word for it, as some of you might know, is Estelle. And it doesn't mean just hope, it means trust. Some equate it to faith, but also it means trust. I trust that I know through Eru, God, and through the Maiar and the Valar, but mostly Eru, it will work out. It will work out in the end. And we were blessed throughout this whole thing. The fires did not touch us. And the weather has changed and is beginning to help extensively with the fires. So whatever is your wildfire, whatever is your drought, okay, or fears that are going on, know that there is always hope, no matter how hard it may be to find that. There is always hope that somewhere there is a sun still shining with blue skies above you. And there are always stars above you at night, even if you can't see them. So always hold on to hope and know that it not only heals you on a spiritual level or an emotional level, but it actually does chemically heal you on a physical level as well. So hold on to Estelle, hold on to hope that the politics of the day will pass. They always have. The droughts will pass, the wildfires will pass. The things that are going on in your life that seem hopeless, and there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel. There is always light at the end of the tunnel because the sun is always shining and the stars are always twinkling. There is always hope at the end of the tunnel. All right? You all have a most blessed rest of the day. Namaste.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something.
What are we holding on to, Sam?
There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.